Welcome to the Boone Podcast. I'm your host, Bret Boone, and today on the program, I'm joined by a seven-time All-Star. He won 4 Silver Sluggers. He hit 464 homers, and he was a two-time winner of a friend of mine and a friend of Nellie's, and that's the Edgar Martinez Award for the Outstanding Designated Hitter. Ladies and gentlemen, Nelson Cruz. Nelson, thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me on, buddy.
All right, how's you're in the club now. I've been there for about 15 years, but you've only been retired for a short time. You've only been out of the game for a short time. How is it so far?
It's been good, man. Enjoying the free time that I always want to have with my family. Doing the things that I want to do when I after I done playing. But especially just spending time with my kids. That's something that I enjoy.
Very cool. Okay, this time a year ago, you were in spring training with the San Diego Padres, and you were about to go off. I think you're the perfect guy for this. You played in the big leagues for so long. You played 19 seasons. Your first year was actually at the end of my career, 2005. Um, there were new rules being implemented. Now, I'm sitting here as an ex-player, as a fan, looking at these new rules and thinking, wow, for the veteran players, for the veteran hitters, that you have your routine. You go to the plate. We have certain checkpoints we go to, and all of a sudden, you're on a time clock. What were you thinking going into the season? And let's go one at a time. The time clock, where you had to engage the pitcher at the 7 second mark, and then he could do whatever he want. What were you thinking going into it? And after it was implemented and you played some games, how'd you like it?
Yeah, before last year, I asked some players in the minors like, how was it? Like, what do you like? What do you don't like? They're all different opinions, but most of them they positive. And I went to the season thinking, at least the game is gonna end up quicker. We're gonna have less time on the field. We can rest quicker. So once start, like anything that you try new, you're gonna be a little bit uncomfortable. And then once you figure it out, it's like, okay, this is what it is. We all got to deal with it. So let's enjoy it. And at the end of the day, for the good of the game, fans can be home earlier. They join the game, and we as a player get benefit from it. And at the end, like I say, I love it, and I thought it was a great job from MLB implementing that.
It was amazing because I'm sitting there on the outside and I'm thinking this is going to be rough. These hitters aren't used to that. How are we going to be ready on time? But as I watched it, it seemed like you guys kind of conformed to it like it was no big deal once you got through spring training, got into the season. As a fan, as somebody in the media now, I loved it because you're right. The fans you knew it wasn't going to be a 3.5, 4 hour game. You knew it was going to be about 2 hours and 40 minutes. Everything seemed to be crisper, moving along. Everybody's kind of on their toes and ready to go. So I went in very pessimistic, and I came away from it and I thought, wow, I was really wrong. My instincts were wrong. It ended up being a great thing for the game. So I'm with you. I thought it was great, but I just wanted that player's perspective because I didn't get in the box with the time clock. Um,
Yeah, no, we as a player love it. Especially like I said, we can get home earlier. For the good of the game, if you have a son and he need to go to school the next day, so I know at least I'll be home by 10. And
right.
we have still a chance to watch the game, and the next day he can go to school. So it plays different roles where everything is for the good of the game.
How'd you talking to teammates of yours that were base stealers, or the catchers with you could only throw over twice, pitchers, the two time that you can disengage from the rubber, that was different. I've talked to some players from my generation that were base stealers going, wow, I'd love to have those
Oh,
rules when I played.
yes.
I'd have stole 80 bases. We always say that. The old guys always say, back in my day, if we would have done that, that's what you do when you get older. You're too young now, but in a while you'll be saying that. In my day, um, so what did they say? Did the base stealers like? I liked it too because I think what it did was it encouraged. We've been getting away from it a little bit in Major League Baseball. Base running, it seems like they don't move runners like they used to. The fundamentals of the game have changed a little bit. Um, but I think it did what it was supposed to do. It encouraged the running game again. It had some more action. I think the fans really liked it. What about your teammates?
Yeah, I mean, we understand everything of like going and creating situations and creating situations for the fans. Get the fans in the players involved. Like you don't necessarily have to be the hitting homers, but you can create runs, stealing bases, and a good example of that was the D-backs. They did it stealing bases and playing small ball, and they went all the way to the World Series. So going back to your questions. Depends on what you see. As a catcher, it was like, wow, what are they doing? I can knock out anybody. If you're a fast runner, then this is a paradise. That's exactly what I need. But going back to the question was like, uh, you can find different opinions, but for the good again, the fans like it because it created more excitement. When stealing bases and you had the expectations of, oh, this guy's gonna go at some point.
I think something that's been talked about, and I think it's inevitable with the technology we have these days, and how much the game has changed. I think the robo umps are coming. I just do. Yeah, I know they're going to do it in the minor leagues. As an old school kind of player, I
Yeah,
like to leave alone as much as you can with the game. I love the human element, but there's nowadays, and this is probably different from when you first came into the league. It was different then. The umpires were different. You didn't have that
yeah.
stupid box that we can all watch on TV, and everybody's the greatest umpire in the world from their couch, when really that's not truly even the true strike zone. But it seems like you've got the iPads in the dugout. You can tell whether it's a ball or a strike right after the fact. It's just different. Your takes on Robo Ump? Do you think it's going to be good for the game if it's eventually put in and taking it out of
Yeah,
the
I
umpire's
mean,
hand?
I
It's
had a
just
chance to
confusing.
play in, like you say, in two generations, and last year I went to rehab in AAA, and I got the chance to play in the three situations where the strike zone was calling by the umpire. You can challenge, and the other one was the whole game just be there, you watching ball strikes, and like, wow, at least I know that the umpire is not screw me. Oh, I know my strike zone, but sometimes I have to be aware how big the strike zone of the umpire or how small it is, where his tendency are to call balls and strikes. Um, and I know I can be consistent taking the pitches that I know that I ball, and I don't expect the umpire to call it. So I like it. The three games that I played in the minors last year, like I said, rehab. Um, and at the end of the game, you just want to make the right call. Like when they implemented the replay, everybody was like, "Oh, you don't see what happened." And at the end of the day, you want to be just to be right, and be fair and equal to everybody.
Have you seen a difference since you broke in as a rookie to say 2023 as far as the umpires? Um, the way they are. I remember as a player, and this is just me. I play second base, so I got an umpire with me every day. Now, my job was I buddied up with all the umpires. I asked them where they're going to dinner. They
Robotic.
needed it because I know in 2 days they're going to be behind the plate calling balls and strikes. That's just the culture, the way it was. We talk to
Yeah.
the umpires. I don't know that I see it that much these days. It's more of a business, and we take the field. You would know better than anybody. Has it changed? How good are the umpires nowadays versus when you came in?
I think everybody is improving. They give you the little thing that you mentioned, um, it put pressure on, I guess, on them because everybody's watching now. Like I was watching that game, the World Series that Livan Hernandez was throwing, and they
Oh
put a little
boy,
box there, and I go, "Oh my God, how far away are those pitches?"
yeah, Eric Gregg.
If you do that right now in this DNA, like today, everybody will be blowing up the umpire, even because you can basically know what pitches are close. I mean, if they're close pitches, you cannot do anything about it. That's the nature of the game of the umpire calling balls and strike. You cannot do anything with it. But when you see stuff like that, you go back like, wow, you wish we can have that at least. you know the umpires are not gonna go that far, calling pitches that are way out of the strike zone. Um, so like anything, like I mentioned earlier, like anything new, you're always gonna be skeptical. It's gonna work. You're gonna like it, but once you try it, like even a few years ago, what they told us, you cannot step out of the box when you hitting. That was hard on everybody. Like, wow, I cannot do that. And now it's part of routine. Nobody leave the box anymore.
Right.
Um, um, so just creating less dead time, in creating more plays in more situations where the fans are more interesting in the game and watching the game, but the different way.
And I just think too, like I said, at first I was against it. The more I think about it, it's like that's one less thing I've got to worry about. Like the worst thing we can't stand is when an umpire establishes his zone early in the game, and the good ones do. And today, hey, maybe he's given an inch off the outside corner, but he's given me that inside corner. I
Yeah.
know the rules going in. I know with two strikes what he's calling, what he's not. We hate when he gets inconsistent. Wait a minute, that wasn't a strike in the second
Hmm.
inning. So if it was a robo ump situation, at least going in, the strike zone. And that's
Yes.
one less thing as a hitter that
You
we
don't have
need
to
to
worry
worry
about
about.
it. Yeah. No, and at least if it's a strike, it's nobody's fault. It's my own fault. Like the
Right.
umpire is not doing nothing against me. The strike zone is this, and that's it. That's it for everybody. It don't matter if you're a rookie or veteran, if you're a Cy Young throwing or you're the rookie pitching. It's gonna be the same for everybody. So at the end of the day, like I said again, you want to be equal. You want to be fair for everybody.
I love having a guy like you on that's freshly retired and you've played for a long time and you've got to see it. My generation was different. I loved playing. Mine was early 90s to late 2000s. I loved my generation. I loved everything about it. I loved my childhood growing up, my dad's generation. I love watching those games. Uh it always seems like you hear older players and they're always pouting and crying and, oh, back in my day, we covered that before. And my thought is, you know what? It's not our game anymore. Whoever's playing the game currently, that's their game. It's
Yes.
not for Bret Boone to say, oh, that's wrong and that's right. No, whatever the current players decide the game is, it is. I look at today's game. I'm getting used to it now a little bit. The emotion in the game, the celebrating, and at first glance, it was like, whoa, and you'll probably hear a lot of ex players. Well, back in my day, if you did that, we're
Yeah.
going to drill
They
you in the
can
neck.
drill you.
You're right. Yeah, I mean, that's what you hear. That's what the old people say all
Yes.
the
Yes.
time. You got to live both ends of it. In 2005, when you broke into the big leagues with Milwaukee, there were a lot of unwritten rules. And if you stepped
Yes.
out of
Yes.
line, you will get drilled. It seems like in
Yes. Of course.
2023, it seems like there is no unwritten rules. I see guys doing stuff and I'm going, well, if the pitchers are okay with it, they're okay with it. Who am I to say what's right and what's wrong? History will judge each and every one of our generations. That's not for us to decide. I've got
Yeah.
to change with the game if I want to keep up with the game. I love baseball. It's been my whole life. And at first when, the
And I believe that was my case. So I come through the old generation, and now I was in the young generation of players, and I had to change to with I guess with the mentality and the nature of the game. Old school now, new school, and I always was like, I just want the players to have fun, to enjoy the game, feel like the clubhouse is their home. Like whatever you do at your house, do it here. Just respect the game, respect your teammates,
right.
and that was my mentality always, even when I was coming up, because it was hard for a rookie. You cannot do much. Like you just
No.
in your corner, you don't do much. Be quiet, don't talk. That's the spot. That's the way you deserve to be. And coming up, I was like, wow, I think that's wrong. Because everybody's helping the team to win games.
Mhm.
It, no matter if you're a veteran or not. I mean, you have your own rules, and you the one in charge of the clubhouse. But at the same time, you also charge of make sure the players that you have in your clubhouse they're productive, no matter who they are.
No, I agree with you. And when you come from a generation where we were taught when we get to the big leagues, you don't speak until you're spoken to, until you prove yourself at that level. And it could be tough at times proving yourself and going through
Yeah,
that section of your career. But to your point, if you've got a great player, especially a great young player, instead of giving him a hard time when he comes up, make him as comfortable as possible to get the best play you can get out of him from the get go. You know what I'm saying? Instead of, who knows, everybody has a different personality. Everybody responds differently to how they're treated. But maybe if you treat them good, put them in a successful environment, you get the most out of your talent
yeah.
level.
I mean, more relaxed you are, you be more likely to be successful and do good. So why you want to put pressure on top of the pressure they have to produce at a young age? So that was always my thought. When I had the chance to command and dictate what's going on in the clubhouse, I want to make sure that the young guys, the ones that are coming up, feel comfortable, and feel like this is their home. But like I say, at the same time, you got to respect the game, respect the clubhouse. But this is your house. Whatever you feel like to do it here.
Yeah, I was, as a young player, man. They made me wear a dress 3 or 4 times, and I loved it. I'd cut it off short and just ran with it. They didn't know what to do, and after a while they're like, "This isn't affecting Booney, it's not." And they eventually they just stopped doing it. When I became that veteran in that clubhouse, I'm with you. Respect was at the top of the list for me. Respect the guys in this clubhouse that have been here for a long time and done it, and then go out and play. I don't
Yeah,
need to humble you as
yeah,
a veteran player. This guy on the mound tonight, he's going to humble you
yeah.
for me. He's going to teach
He
you.
will
He's
do
going to
my
make you
job.
right. He's going to make you grow up, and that's kind of the tact I took as a veteran player, seeing both sides of it. Um, what do you like better, when you first came up, or how the game is currently?
Well, I mean, you can see really different stuff from going from what was good there, and what is good now. Um, that part of like you, the rookie, stay there, don't talk. I don't like that part, but I also love the part of teammates going out, having a good time. I'm the veteran. I gotta take you to the store. I gotta buy you some clothes. We losing that part now in this generation. Um, but the other part is like you have so much technology. You have so much nutrition, I mean, from the doctors to the gym, flies, hotels. Everything is just getting better for the good of the players. Um, so that's the side that I love.
The
The
money,
the
the
new
money,
generation. Yeah, the
the,
money obviously too.
the
Yeah,
money's gotten a lot better
yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um, I've had Edgar on the show. I've had David Ortiz on the show. You were obviously one of the great designated hitters of this generation. Um, you played outfield early in your career, and I think you played the field consistently to around 2016. Is that accurate? Right
Yes,
field, left field.
yes. I feel that.
Edgar, to this day, one of my favorite teammates, still one of my best friends, and I often asked him about it. And I said, "How tough is it, being a DH?" For me at second base, man, and we both know hitting is so hard, especially at big league
Yeah.
level. It was kind of a retreat for me when my swing wasn't right, or I wasn't swinging the bat well. I wasn't contributing. Man, I could take that glove and make a difference. I could make a big
Hmm.
play and feel like I'm contributing in some way. And I used to look at Edgar, who was my DH in Seattle, and I think, man, it's got to be tough when you're a DH. That's
Yes.
all you do, and you're
Yeah.
scuffling like I am right now. You can't go turn a big double play to save a game.
Hmm.
You've got to kind of live with it. And he taught me, he said, Booney, because he was a third baseman early. And he said, when they came to him and said, "We want you to be a designated hitter," he said he was pissed. He said, "I wanted no part of it. I hated it." He said, "Until I just finally accepted it, and I said, okay, how can I be the best designated hitter I can?" And he came up with a routine. I remember watching him during the game. He'd be on the bike after his first at bat. He'd be here. He'd be there. He had a routine. When you first started to DH and you weren't playing right field or left field. Was that a tough adjustment for you? Was it easy? I don't know that I could have done it.
Yeah, I mean, my first year that I was DHing was when I signed with Baltimore, and I remember like I hated I hit like 210, something like that when I was DHing, and like three something when I was playing the outfield because I hated it. Like, wow, I don't like it. Then when I went to Seattle, it was the same situation. I was hitting good when I was playing the outfield, and I scoffing when I was hitting DH. And then 2017 came, and they told me you're gonna only DH, and like, wow, okay, now I have to really lock that in. I cannot be putting excuses of uh, I want to play an outfield or whatever. You just have to do it. So once I put that mentality on, everything changed, and I become best a good hitter right after that. But everything is like the mindset. I try to find a routine. I asked David Ortiz, I asked Edgar, um, and I feel like I want to do something that I feel comfortable doing it. Feel like I'm running on the back and all that. I spend a lot of energy on. So what I was doing, it was just don't see, just keep moving around. So once you see, you cooled off. It's hard to go back and warm up. You have to do the back or whatever. So the things that I was doing, they just stand up the whole game. Swing the cage, stay seat, and just that was my thing.
I never had to do. I mean, I didn't even like Nelson. I hated when I had to if I had a day off and I had to come pinch hit in a big situation. I just didn't like it. I didn't feel
Yeah,
like I was into the game. And Ortiz told me, he said, Booney, I just had to get to a point where I was pinch hitting 4 times a game. And he
yeah,
said,
exactly.
and once I got to that mindset, he said it was off to the races. And obviously, David, one of the greatest to ever do it. Um,
Yeah,
what
I was
happens?
like that. Like even when we play in the National League, I know I'm not gonna play, but I gotta pinch hit, and I was like, okay, I gotta treat it like it's my first at bat of my DHing day.
Right.
And I mean, right after that, I started doing good. Also, when I got pinch hit.
Yeah, it's amazing. It is. It's a mindset. It's something that doesn't just happen overnight.
Yeah,
I always envied the guys that were great pinch hitters. And I don't know if you remember a guy named Lenny Harris, who
yeah, of
was a
course.
teammate of mine in Cincinnati for a lot of years. I think he's got the all-time record for most pinch hits. And he was a big part of some of my Cincinnati Reds teams. And I used to tease him all the time. He'd say, Booney, I need to get a couple starts at second base. Can you get hurt or something like that? And I used to laugh. But I looked at his position and I thought, wow, that's tough. He might have to sit there for 2 or 3 days. And because Lenny was our first bat off the bench, left-hander, it was never going to be in a comfortable
Yeah,
situation. It was
easy,
never going to
easy
be in
peasy
an
about.
eight to
Yeah,
two game. It was going
yeah,
to be against the closer in the ninth inning, 2-1 game, and he hasn't swung a bat in a game situation in 3 years. I really had a lot of respect to the not only the guys that were able to do that, but were able to do it successfully.
yeah. No doubt, it's a great challenge. Like I had the chance last year to do it on a regular basis, and I mean, I like, wow, this is hard. Because I was facing, like you mentioned, um, late in the games, the closer, and all that. Um, but it take like a mindset to do it, like you said. That's my job. That's what I had to do, and don't complain about it.
Uh, so many great years you had, and through the years, I loved watching you. I knew when you were a young player, when you were in Texas, I'd watch. I said, "This kid's going to be good," and I loved watching your whole career, and especially your time in Seattle, and just the way you went about your game. You were always a professional, and I was always a fan. I'm not a fan of that many people, but I remember watching you in Seattle,
Thank
going,
you,
I
thank you.
like that. I like that Nelson Cruz. Plus, you hung on to the bat with both hands. I like that too. Um, I got a question for you about. I live in San Diego, and you came down here. You played for the Padres a year ago. I had big expectations for that team on paper. It looked,
Yeah,
you guys were loaded, especially on the offensive side. Snell ends up winning the Cy Young Award. You had Musgrove and Darvish, and I know Musgrove got hurt, and there were some injuries throughout the. What do you think happened to that San Diego Padre team a year ago, where so much talent? And the pitching numbers were really good too, as far
yeah.
as
I don't know how
statistically.
how like how the numbers offense side went up doing it. But I think that was the downside of it. I mean, we expect him to rake and do good as a hitter, and I think that was the downside of the season. We didn't produce the way we're supposed to be doing. Still now thinking like what was going on, like what was the deal, like how come, um, but like in baseball, you can never predict. It doesn't matter how good you are, but it's hard for a team to put everything together. Um, and but that's what I believe happened. The offensive wasn't there.
Yeah, and
We
it's
have good
crazy.
games. We have good games, and then we go for like 2 or 3 games with we don't score enough. Um, we lost a bunch of games 2-0, 3-0, 3-1.
Right.
And I believe that was not because pitching it was incredible. Like you mentioned, we had the Cy Young, we have good pitching there. Waka, Mostrom, and going on Lugo. Um, I think the offense was the one who was missing.
And you're right. You can never predict this game. Everybody just on face value, of course, what the Dodgers did this offseason. And you're with the Dodgers. I'll get to that in a second. Unbelievable the talent level that the Dodgers have, but you never know. You
Yeah.
gotta factor in
No, you gotta go
the
there and play the game,
you gotta
and
go there
hope
and
and
play the
hope and
game.
hope and hope everybody's healthy. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, did anybody think you mentioned at the top of the show, did anybody think a year ago Arizona, they everybody was saying, "Oh, Arizona can't win this series. They
Yeah,
can't win
yeah,
this series." Next thing you know, they're in the World Series. They're 2 games away from winning a World Series championship.
yeah,
Nobody gave them a chance. That's a little bit Major League Baseball, and I think it has something to do with the new schedule where there's 12 teams that make the playoffs, whoever gets hot at the right time.
yeah, yeah. No doubt. I mean, you just have to make the playoff. Once you're there, anything can happen. And
Yeah.
you see a lot of cases where wild cards are the ones who win the World Series. And the favorite teams they out in the first round. So, you always have to take that in consideration.
I got a few questions and I'll let you out of here. As a young man growing up, I know you're. No, I'll make it so. Who was your favorite player? Who did you look to as the big leaguers when you were a kid? Who was your favorite players?
Well, I watched Ken Griffey as well. I know everybody loves Ken Griffey, but Vladdy was the one that I always want to be like. I remember playing to the minors. I hit with no batting glove in some points, even in the big league. Sometimes I hit with no batting glove. I had a chance to play with him, and I was one of the dreams come true. Playing with the guy that I was admired to be like, and just to get to know him, the great heart that he has. The great personality, and man, they're like really humble. So that was one of my favorite years that I have as a player, just to be able to play with the guy that I always want to be like.
I remember playing against Vladdy, and I can't explain him to people. I said, you first of all, you can't pitch around him because he can hit anything. You bounce at
You just,
everybody.
I think he would better if you pitch right down the middle.
He was unbelievable. Um, you played a lot of places. What's your favorite city out of all of them?
Wow. Well, I gotta mention two. I think Seattle and Texas are the two ones that I like the most. Yeah.
Today, Nelson Cruz. Yeah, you can pick three players you like to watch, three big leaguers.
Three players. Otani, obviously. Fernando Tatis and Mike Trout.
Pretty good three. Pretty good
Mhm.
three. Um, Nelson Cruz. What are you most proud of?
Wow. I think the Roberto Clemente Award. The impact that you got off the field, um, people that you touch, change life. It doesn't get better than that. Maybe hitting homers is better than seeing that. Get the same smile on my face. Um, just to see people going like without teeth, and then you see and leaving with with that smile and change. Uh, going to life, seeing the life, and seeing the world different. More confidence and whatever they gotta go and go against it.
last thing, and I'll let you get out of here. Um, you're working with the Dodgers. We talked a little bit off camera. Tell the people watching or listening to the Boom podcast right now what is Nelson Cruz doing for the Dodgers in that star-studded clubhouse right now?
Well, right now I'm helping. See kids that need help. They call me like, I think you should help this guy. He need your help. So I go there and talk to him, see what's going on, and go from there. I guess stay in the game without playing, and doing what you love. Because it's hard. Like you play for so many years. It's hard just to leave the game. If you can stay around, at least doing something where you can bring that experience that you have to the years, to the young generation, and help through that. Um, it doesn't get better. So that's what I'm doing, just helping kids develop and get better at whatever they're doing.
Well, the Dodgers got a good one in Nelson Cruz. I appreciate you coming on the podcast today, Nelson. What a career that you had. Like I said, I was a big fan, and I loved watching you play and you, giving back now.
Me too. I,
Everybody
I
out.
I love watching you play too.
Oh, well, thank
I
you.
was a huge fan of you.
But I'll tell you, through the years, I'd get up to Seattle time and again, and I always would ask, "Hey, what's Nelson a good guy? Tell me he's a good guy because I love watching him play." They said, "Oh, he's one of the best," and getting to talk to you just briefly today, I can feel that. And I think you have the ability. You're one of those guys that everybody respects so much, not just for the numbers you put up in the game, but for how you went about your business. So I think you're going to be a huge plus for that Dodgers team having you. And it's cool too because you played with and against a lot of these guys. You're still fresh, and now
Yeah.
you say, now I don't have to chase the breaker ball like you, but I can, I can help you
Well,
try to
yeah,
not
yeah.
chase it.
Yesterday when I went to Placido Polanco, we went out. We went to a cigar bar, and when I was coming to the hotel, I was like, "Wow, I don't have to think about who's I gonna face tomorrow, or I gotta take batting practice." This is
Right.
awesome.
I don't
So
have to think
just
about I
just
struck out
relax,
three times.
and go out there and just enjoy what you're doing. Just from your mind, just bring that to the other generation, and whatever help you to become a good player, you just give that to them. It comes natural, so I don't have to worry about workout or wow, this light is nasty today. The guy's throwing 100.
That's right. You're not sitting in the corner twitching
Yeah,
because you chase that breaking ball off the plate.
yeah.
I've had nightmares. I still have nightmares, Nelson. It never goes away. I'll wake up in the middle of the night. I woke up the other night. I was having a dream, and I just signed with some team. I'm 54 years old, and I was in the clubhouse, and I'm in pretty good shape, and I'm talking to myself. I'm going, how am I going to go out there and hit? They think I can hit. They signed me. I signed, but I can't hit like I used to hit. But they don't know and they think I can. What am I going to do when everybody figures it out? So
uh,
you still have nightmares or dreams sometimes that put you back in uniform, and then you wake up and you go, "Whoo, okay, I don't have to go face Kershaw today. I don't have to go
uh,
face DeGrom." So
yeah, yeah.
anyway, it's been a pleasure, Nelson. For all you out there watching the Boom Podcast now newly on YouTube, or if you tuned in and listened, I appreciate you tuning in. And until next time, keep it right here, Bret Boone Podcast. Thanks. Thanks, Nelson.
All right, thank you.